Hello friends, this is Yrvind, and this is the beginning of the roof or deck above the dining room. So I will just take it a bit easy here to make a good mock-up to get everything all right before committing myself. But so far, looks good. So it's going to be cut to size. So, hello friends. This is Yrvind, and this story continues. So, just by sheer luck, I met Olga. And from France, from La Trinité, I went back to Sweden. And we got married, and we spent the winter there, preparing for the voyage. She never been to sea, she didn't know anything about boats, was born far from the sea, and what she liked to do was paint portraits, and she was very good at that. And the idea was that she was going to Göteborg to art school. But then she met me, and my plans changed, and her plans changed, and anyway, so in March, a friend of us drew us down to France, to La Trinité, to Mike Bris, who'd been looking after my boat during the winter. And his house was just before the bridge going to La Trinité. There's a bridge there. It was on the right side and coming up from the outside. And there she was, nice and dry. I covered her with plastic for the winter. And thanks to the good insulation, everything was dry and fine inside. Even the salt was running really nice out of the thing. So we thanked Mike Bris and his wife for looking after us. And then we thought we'd do a little bit exploration. So this was March, and it was very high tides. So tides is an odd thing. It's highest in March and September, spring tides. And so we went out there. We got a good wind, and everything was good. We was looking for Villain, Barrage d'Arsal. And it was a small boat, and everything went well, you know, and we just made it. And somehow we got the tide with us, somewhere in the middle, and then the tides flew the other way and carried us up to, and we just in time for the lock and Barrage d'Arsal, and the wind was with us, so we kept going until we got to Redon. No, La Roche-Bernard. La Roche-Bernard, and there we went into a little place, we looked around, and then there was next day we continued to Redon. Now Redon, there was another river, what's it called, Oost, going up to Brest, but it with canals, but it never really finished it, you know, some corruption sometimes, you know, so got nearly finished, but the idea was that. And instead we went a bit there, and there was another river called Aff, and we went up to La Giseli, and before that we spent the night in, was like a very little bit lake, or just maybe a pound. And March there was not many boats around, you know, in fact, there was no one else there. But it was like pontoons out there, you know, and everything was nice, but no people. But somehow, you know, at the entrance at the end, came one of these little steel barges. They rent out to people. You don't even need a driving license for them, you know, because they don't have a big horsepower and they are made of steel, you know, so they don't get damaged and things like that. So we thought, well, nice, maybe we get some company, maybe some interesting people. And it was, you know, it was empty, and it was like a big dock, you know, it was like 100 meters that way, 100 meters that way. And I kind of aimed just at us. I thought maybe they're very social people. They maybe like company. So, but they got nearer and nearer, and me and Olga were sitting there. But suddenly they get a bit too close. I ran up on deck, but it was too late. They just smashed into us. And you know, that was a tremendous impact, because we was laying against the dock, you know, with the side, and they come with full speed, like this steel bar, right into the middle. Now, and up come 4 people, 2 men, 2 women, and they go down and say, "Excusez-nous, nous sommes débutantes," which in their language means, "Excuse us, we are beginners." So, well, what you know, this was France, and I like the French people because they're kind of funny. Another time, when I was driving in Paris, and then suddenly another man drove into the side of my car. And we got out and he talked, and he said, "Excuse-moi, je regarde ma femme." That means, "Excuse me, I was looking at my wife." Well, what can you do with people like that? So it was just a minor damage, because there was no big speed. But impact of such a big boat, you know. An ordinary boat, so it's just been squeezed and sunk, and that was it. So, but now nothing happened. Boat's very, very strong. So we continued up there next day to the Gazili. It's like a place for artists, and like Olga, she was the artist, and she liked to look at these things. And then we took the way back, you know, back to Redon, back to La Roche-Bernard and Barge-Tarsal. And now the plan was go to Les Croisics. And then we came out on the Bay of Biscay, and the wind died away. Not only died away, but it came fog. We didn't see anything. It was just encapsulated in a little thing. Maybe we could see 20, 30 meters, that way, that way, that way. Well, no wind. No, I was at the sculling oar, but you know, it was too far distance. Just to kind of like passing time, and because I like to do the oar, you know, and it's also good and healthy. So Olga was doing pancakes in the boat, but then suddenly, just out of nowhere, there was a big sailboat. Oh, they were as surprised as me. And hello, I said, and say, "Do you like remorque?" A two, you know. They were going to the Croisics. Well, yeah, they accepted gladly. That's very friendly of them. But, you know, inside Croisics, it's like a big open thing, and it's like a narrow entrance, and the tide was going out. So it's a strong tide, you know, because it's a small passage and a lot of water inside. But they had a big engine. But then we came into the town, and suddenly the towing boat just stopped. Dead stop. Now what was this? And we ran into the back of it because, you know, it was just a sudden stop. And he was aground. So what had happened, we understand later, they've been dredging, making the water deeper. But where we run aground, there've been like signs, you know, there've been a sign, don't go here because it's too shallow. But they didn't put them back. So this man got very angry, and we talked to the harbor master. Yes, he said, well, we should have put these things out a long time ago, you know, but well, we thought maybe we just wait until accidents happen. And well, now accident has happened. So now it was time to do that. And now this one marina was too expensive for us, but it was like a public place just near the town quay. But it dried out. But Bris just had a center boat, she could take the ground, so it was no problem for us. So we went up and down with water every time. It was quite much. And then we were planning to sail to Ireland. Next stop. And this was, now it was April. '89. And I was going to be 50 years. So next day, I like ice cream. So now when I'm going to be 50, sure I'm going to have a really nice ice cream. Maybe not only one, you know, but one in the morning, one in the lunchtime, one at the dinner time, you know, like the whole day. Ice cream there, ice cream here, and ice cream there. I was looking down, planning, looking, what's the best kind, tasting it a little bit too, you know, to make sure. But what happened? Just on my 50th birthday, the wind changed. We got a nice easterly breeze. So, what do I say to do? He can never miss a good wind. So, with no ice cream, we just cast off and went off. So, this is going to be continued. So, I thank you very much for kindly listening to these anecdotes.